Hey there everybody, Patrick Walker. We decided to come into the studio and play with the touchscreen a little bit to show you a couple of the new laws, 5 to be exact, out of more than 250 that are taking effect today, July 1st. This is something, of course, we see every other year after the legislature passes a bunch of laws. Most of them go into effect the month after, which would be July 1st, the start of the new fiscal year, all of that stuff. So let's go over 5 that you may want to know about. So let's take a look at this first one. Assembly Bill 192. This would allow people to request certain criminal records to be sealed if they're convicted for something that is no longer illegal. So the biggest one that this would affect, anybody that would have a marijuana conviction, for example, that's on your record, you could now go to court starting today to request that that be sealed. That's part of the new law that took effect here on July 1st. This was a big deal, one of the big criminal justice reforms that Democrats wanted to get passed this session. Another one that's related to marijuana as well is Senate Bill 430. People ask, why in the world do we need to have a medical marijuana card here in Nevada when, well, it's legal at the recreational level as well? Well, this would expand access to medical marijuana cards for the following chronic or debilitating conditions: anxiety, autism, autoimmune diseases, opioid addictions, medical conditions related to HIV or AIDS, anorexia, muscle spasms, chronic pain, or neuropathic pain. So this would allow you to more easily or more readily be able to get one of these medical marijuana cards, and that's crucial because the tax rate is lower. You just have to pay that 15% wholesale tax, but the special 10% tax that Governor Sandoval put on in 2017, that would not apply in this case. You don't have to pay that if you have the medical marijuana card. Let's take a look at the third bill, Assembly 142. This removes the statutes of limitations for prosecuting sexual assaults, and this is big in cases where there is DNA evidence that could identify the accused. So somebody that would be the suspect in the case, if there is DNA evidence where they could identify them, then that statute of limitation goes away completely. Another one here, Assembly 114. This one's on a touchy subject, but it's an important one. This mandates that schools, whether private or public, report certain information related to suicides and prevention efforts among pupils. So any data related to suicides, attempted suicides, or documented thoughts of suicide, as well as efforts for training and identifying done by staff members and talking with students as well. This all has to be put into a report this year that would go in March to the Legislative Counsel Bureau, and from there it then goes on to the Committee on Education in the Assembly, I believe, for them to go ahead and study and see what to do moving forward. So this is a very important one as far as trying to gather information and figure out how to tackle something that is a very sensitive and very real thing that's happening in our schools today. Finally, Assembly Bill 431. This restores the right to vote for formerly incarcerated people upon release from jail. This is about 77,000 folks here in Nevada who would be now, and I want to distinguish prison, not jail. People convicted of a felony, when they are released from prison, they are eligible to have their right to vote restored. So this is a pretty big criminal justice reform bill, also by the Democratic caucus. There was a big ceremony today, so if you want to look at 8 News Now at 6 coming up, we're going to have a story of one of the men who is affected by this. He was released from prison last year, I believe it was, and has a chance now. He got to register to vote today, and he can reintegrate into this part of society again. So this is restorative justice that you hear that term thrown about a lot. This is an example of restorative justice. The ACLU, Democratic lawmakers as well, are big behind this. A couple others of note as well. I-11 will be designated the Purple Heart Highway starting today, and we've talked about this a lot. Designating neon as the official state element. That took effect today as well. Big deal, right? No, that's a ceremonial one as well, but it's one that's been fought for in the Assembly, and kind of a cool one as well. So if you want to see all of these, we'll have a link to all of the bills that were passed and became law today right here below this story on our website.